essay. In a perfect world, we didn't have a timed essay. They'd be good. You got time to go through it. I think you'd write better essays, but that's not the world we have. So you're going to have a limited time to organize and write. Now, the first one we're going to do, the first two, it's going to be by hand. Then after that, we got to type. We got to start typing essays. And hand, it's easy. It's less likely you forget stuff by hand. So you just got to organize the first one by hand. But the AP exam is going to be typed now. It's all typed. And for some of you might be happy about that, but it's so much easier to forget stuff when you type. That's pretty much common for almost everybody. So you really got to have a little practice and organize. But let's get to the thesis statement. This is the most important element of an essay. Now, all of you have done thesis statements. I have a little bit different of an idea about it for the AP exam, and also works for me, but there's certain things you need. And so we know this. Basically, your thesis, a little mini outline, is addressing the purpose of your essay, how you're going to answer. But because of my way mine works, I break it down to a formula. And this is the formula for writing a thesis statement. It's a formula. You plug it in. Once again, I have a math degree too. I can't help it. I think mathematically. X because of Y because of A, B, and C. It's this handy little formula. And the reason we do this is because you got a question. You got to write the thesis. You got to get going. The X is the easy part. The A, B, and C are easy. Now, it's a little bit different. This is for a 5-paragraph essay. When you do a 4-paragraph essay, it's only an A and a B. There's no big change. I'm just showing the 5 paragraphs as kind of generic thesis statement. All right, so let's get to what each part is. The basic topic, theme, historical era of the question, of the prompt, that's the X. So the question asks you about factors of the Industrial Revolution. You have to mention the Industrial Revolution, the factors. If you put the time, just even in the 19th century, that's strictly your thesis statement. But just that kind of basic elements, that's the X. So you can't just start, stuff happened because of this, or it happened. You have to be very specific. You have to list it down. What's in the statement. They look for that. And trust me, I look for that. If I know you can address the question, I'm already thinking, I'm going to get a good essay. If you don't address the question, my first thought, ooh, I got to read this thing. I'm human. I think that way. Next, the why is your claim. That's your claim. Your claim is how you're going to address the question, how you're going to answer the question, how you're going to put things together, something that links to the rest of your essay. And so this is some kind of either specific, economic, social, political. It could be about the identity. It could be cultural issues, environmental, foreign affairs. The big ones is the first 3, economic, social, and political. It's some specific economic issue like slavery in the territories, or the development of capitalism, or the Enlightenment, something like that. If you can't come up with something specific, write down. Write down. This theme was because of, so your question is because of economic issues, social issues, political issues. Write down the word political if you can't come up with something specific. And then the rest of the essay would be kind of tied together to political changes. Now, if you can come up with a specific political cause, in the territories, then that's great. And then lastly, I'm using the term that the College Board uses, and I don't know, it fits my mind too, the blueprint, or your main points. A, B, and C, that would be your 3 body paragraphs. A is just the topic of your first body paragraph, B, the topic of your second, C, the topic of your third. If it's a 4-paragraph essay, you just need an A and a B. Now, my guess is a lot of you have done this. And if you've done that, the only difference might be the why. That'd be my guess. But I want to make sure we have that in there, or have this clear. And so the topic sentence of your first body paragraph will talk about whatever your point is for A. You've done this, but I want to make sure you get that why. And so the A and the B and the C are all kind of connected with the why. Political issues, economic issues, social issues, something like that. So remember how we did, you've done 8 short 80s so far. That's a lot. Well, that's a body paragraph. A quick kind of We got summation. Summary, example, effect. And this, can you read the brown? Didn't come in. I looked step back there and I couldn't read it. You give an example, which is another word for evidence to prove your point, and the importance, the effect. Remember, that's a short ID. You ever remember that? Basic element, right? Well, that's a body paragraph. If you link to prove your argument, this effect is how you address the question, how you address the why, how you prove it. Because everyone got that. And that's all it is. That is all of what an essay is. Opening paragraph with a good thesis statement, and then the body paragraphs are short IDs. Make sure you have good evidence. You have to relate it back to the question, of course, but that's all it is. That's all it is. You just have to make sure you connect it. Okay, so let's get back to the thesis statement. That's it. Then because of that, and you can use words like by looking at, or although, or however, or because of, things like that. Let me jump right to another point. And I have this on Teams so you can look at it. But X because of Y because A, B, and C, or simply something does something, X does this because of these are the reasons. That's it. Another one. By looking at X, one can see Y, which is important because A, B, and C. Or A and B if it's a four-paragraph essay. So let's do an example. Here is a question. What is the philosophy of the Declaration of Independence? And we talked about that in class. Remember, I went through each part of this. Remember that? I went through equality, and we did short IDs on that. And this is the kind of thing you have to know for the AP exam. I did equality, unalienable rights, social contract. That is the philosophy of the Declaration of Independence. Remember, that's Enlightenment ideas. That's John Locke. That's Jefferson. But that was the meat of the philosophy. So here's a thesis statement for a 5-paragraph essay for the philosophy behind the Declaration of Independence. Everyone see it? Can you read it? Is it clear enough? So the X, I clearly mentioned the philosophy of the Declaration of Independence. I would have been stronger if I would have put 1776 or something, but I didn't. And the ideals of the Enlightenment, that is my why. All of those enlightened ideals. I could have put political or I could have put economic for why, but I put down enlightenment. So I just kind of connect the A, B, and C, just kind of connect it back to the Enlightenment ideas of the Declaration of Independence. My first body paragraph will be on equality. Second body, unalienable rights. Third body, social contract. So all you need is topic sentence, then you get back to that basic idea. Summary, example, effect. That's it. Now ideally, in an essay, short ideas, I say one example. You can get 2. That's great. Get 2 if you can. Short ideas, I only say 1 because that's a different type of thing. They get 2, that's great. Let's do another example. Analyze the causes of the Civil War. I think you guys are ready for this, correct? We watched The Cause. You guys should be ready. Let's give you a bad one. Here's a couple low quality ones. The problems leading up to the Civil War were numerous. Okay. I'll tell you what, if I would get either one of these two, my first thought's going to be, I'm going to get a bad essay. And I got to read this thing. Thank you for giving me a bad essay I have to read. How am I going to grade it? Huh?
Probably because the thesis
Yeah. I'll already be thinking bad things. I'm just telling you. That's the way people. Oh, geez, I got to grade this thing. All right. I get a good thesis on it. I know what they're going. I know exactly what they're going to do. This is a good essay. I'm human. I think that way. I know you guys though. Just imagine somebody who has no idea who you are. If you give them a bad thesis, what would they think about you? Don't know anything about you. And immediately their first thought is, I got 2 minutes to read this thing, 2 out of 6. Let's just start. Sorry, that's the way they think on the thesis statement. People are subjective. All right, so medium quality. And this is a really common one. The Civil War was caused by industrialization, slavery in the territories, and the election of 1860. That's not a bad A, B, and C. So 4 paragraph, just A and B, whatever 2 you know the most. But you notice there's no why. There's nothing to tie it together. You make no claim. You just say, here are reasons. It's really weak. It's not terrible. It's just weak. You have nothing to tie it together. I'm just, basically what I'm going to get is a summary. It's all right, but I want something to tie it together. Make a claim. Simple but high quality thesis. Next, have a why. Fundamental ideological differences. So the whole thing, I'll talk about the North on this, and then the South. Next group, the Northern view, Southern view, etc. And then A, B, and C, federal government, industrialization, spread of slavery in the territories. That is my why. Now, you could have put down political disagreements. I put on ideological because I think it sounds stronger. But political issues, you could put on economic issues. But I had something very specific. Fundamental ideological disagreements. Now, a strong thesis. It can be 2 sentences. No more than 2. So I say 2 words. Notice I give a little bit of explanation for each A, B, and C as a little bit of strength. So it shows I'm not just listed. It's not perfect, but if I read that, my first thought is this person is organized. They are prepared, and I know what to expect. They're going to have that first paragraph about industrialization, and it will cover how the slavery and the issue of slavery was affected by industrialization. Second one, slavery in the territories, and that northern and southern view of slavery in the territories. 5-paragraph essay. Third one, election of 1860, and it'll come back to that. I know exactly what to expect. I am optimistic about reading this essay. I think that might be part of the reason why they weigh it so much. So that kind of thing, if that's one point. And if that would have followed this guideline, followed it in the question, or in your essay, if you would have followed this basic point, that's 2 points. So right there, you're almost passed. If you get at least 2 good facts and explain them, heck, you've nailed your essay and have a good chance of passing the AP exam. And for me personally, I got a good essay and I know what you know. Are you ready to write lots of thesis statements?
No.
Let me ask again, are you ready to write a lot of thesis statements? The answer is yes. Let's write one. Okay, we're going to write one. It'll be half your quarter grade. I'm kidding. No, it will not be. It's a sample. We're going to practice them. Give you a few minutes, and then as the year goes by, I would just pop stuff up. Let's do a thesis from now on. And you have to quick write one. We'll look at it. You can kind of look at your neighbors and criticize each other and mock each other. No, give constructive criticism to each other and go from there. But thesis statements are important. The main elements of the essay question, make a claim. Your purpose in the essay doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't be like this incredibly strong. Just political issues or something specific. If you have one, it's a little stronger. And then an A, B, and C. Or if it's a 4-paragraph essay, A and B, right? Everyone see the difference on that? We're going to write a 4-paragraph essay in class next Wednesday. That's good. That's not 4 paragraphs. Is not. You could probably get that done in 15 minutes. No, you will not. You have a lot longer than 15 minutes. No, we'll have the period to do it. But let's do a sample in class right now. Not that one down there. Here we go. So everyone, oops. Everyone, attention, please. I love that picture. I trust him. This kid, I'm going to do what I want. All right. So here is your. Do it. Now, if you want, I'll let you quickly look back at your notes, but there's lots of factors of the transportation revolution, but you're going to write this thesis statement. So take a quick back look at your notes. Go back. I gave you lots of factors. We're going to write a thesis statement for a 4-paragraph essay on this. So make sure you get the main points: transportation revolution, industrial revolution, a why, a claim you can make, and then an A and a B. An A you can write a short idea about, a B you can write. And I gave you lots of examples of the transportation revolution. But all analyzing means is relating one thing to another. That's all analyzing means. You're not just writing a summary, you have to relate it to something. No flamingo fighter for the thesis. Remember, I gave you costs, I gave you railroads were in industry, I gave you lots of examples. Oh, wow. That would be 45 calories. Blue raspberry. That's raspberry. You see a raspberry that's blue? So you're going to write this, you're writing this in your notes. So write a thesis statement. Do you want me to put an example back up? Are we okay? No one's commenting, so I'm going to leave it. Well, I bet these are economic issues. One side would be good, I mean, free choice. No. Everyone has free choice. I don't, but if I knew the option, you like the government. Government's easier too. Just because it's not as I tell you, last year our class was so well. I'm not surprised we had a class. How are we doing? When you are done, make sure there's an X, you address the main points. Make sure there's a Y, a claim. It could just be economic factors, that's wrong. And then an A, a B, and a C. Something does something because of something. Let me draw a picture. How are we doing? Yeah, we'll pass. Y. And think about your AB. Can you write a short idea? Can you write a short idea? You relate it back to your Y. You said it. That's all it is. I know it's work. That's all it is.
I'd rather do like potential
So things that have just doing I will tell you how I want for an introduction. I don't way to help you with detail. Please, I told you. Okay.
I did? Oh. Oh. Okay.
Hey, what's his name?
No.
Why? Because that's shipping costs, right? That's shipping costs.
That's what the equation is, right?
Yeah, that works.
That works.
All right. Now these should be done or pretty close to done. Now this I do want you to do. Just kind of there's even numbers in almost every row. And so what I want you to do is go to the person in front or behind you and just look at each other's thesis statement. You turn this way, turn back. You do here, 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 and there. Just read it and you can see the X and the Y. If we're not quite done, go ahead and finish up your last sentence. Are you just finishing yours and yours done? What's your Y? That works. That's good. Because it is economic. And if you think something very specific, broad economic thing, use it. Not that much. What's your A? What's your A? B. It's great.
All I can think of is just
I know nobody wants to. Oh. All right, go ahead and read. Good. Turn around, you can read. Alan, do you mind doing it real quick? Are you just finishing?
Yeah, I'm ready.
That's literally the entire point.
But like yours is still pretty good.
So I read yours.
Just want to make a couple changes.
Yeah, you just need.
Grading is better than mine.
Just take and then they take off whatever time. What do I know? What I know?
Yeah, she elaborated on her game.
Oh, that's good. That's it.
Yeah, you did really good.
And don't fret too much about the why and the claim. It gets a little bit easier. The big thing is just something economic, political, or social that ties it together. Did anybody read a thesis statement that was so amazing that you should have that that person read it? See, I like how there's somebody already to throw somebody else under the bridge. I love that. Right under the bus. Just throw it in. You didn't even read his.
I did read it.
Would anybody like to read those? Anybody volunteering to read yours? Go ahead.
The transportation revolution massively sped up the industrial revolution, enabling its spread through decreased material and information travel times. Feedback loop from the railroads and lowered overall transportation costs.
So the feedback loop by the railroads, what do you mean by that?
Because the railroads were in industry.
That's good. Maybe just add one more thing about industry, but other than that, very good. Very good. You have tied it together. Good thesis statement. Anybody else want to read theirs? Anybody? Anybody? Should I volunteer for somebody? Go ahead.
The transportation revolution propelled the industrial revolution in the North, expanding our economy. This is because of the growing railroads, canals, and railroads.
Yeah, so you kind of did three to tie them together for your A, B, and C, and then talk about more folks in the North because that's where most of it was. Very good. And do we have another one? Yeah, go ahead.
The transportation revolution will greatly affect the industrial revolution by growing the economy and making families become consumers and relying on others. This was because shipping costs were greatly lowered, new markets were created around railroads, and being able to buy foreign goods made contribute to be self-sufficient.
Very good. That's almost a 5-paragraph essay one. That's it. You can see, but that's good. You tied it together good. A little bit of it. You expanded on the A, B, and C. That's good. You want to see mine? Oh, you want to read yours?
No,
Okay, good.
the transportation revolution impacted the industrial revolution by making information cheaper. Canals kept connecting major ports, city, country, and
Good, and you can give examples of the Erie Canal or the different railroads. Good thesis statement. Yeah, looks good. But why doesn't it need to be perfect? You should have something to tie it together. So you read that and think, okay, I have an essay that is put together, it's tied, it's linked together. That means a lot. You want to see my thesis statement, or anybody else want to read theirs? What? Want to read yours?
Yeah.
Do it.
The transportation revolution was the most fundamental factor that made the Industrial Revolution possible with its success. Provided transportation at a level of close access to manufacturers and consumers rather than.
Really good A and B. And so I know exactly where you're going for your A and B, and tying together is about the factors of the Industrial Revolution and the big changes. That works. It's good. What are yours? We have good thesis statements.
The Industrial Revolution is simply back to the transportation revolution. The transportation revolution became transport of goods and products, new jobs were created in new industries, aiding into the Industrial Revolution, while that also aided into the transportation revolution.
So you have to kind of link back and forth. Oh, now when they said the railroads were an example of that. No, that's very, very good. Go ahead.
The transportation revolution will impact the industrial revolution because it lowered the cost and increased the speed of transportation. Canals are the cheapest way to transport goods, and railroads became an industry that connected local states.
So you're talking about lower costs, and then your A and B are the canals and the railroads?
Yeah.
Good. Good thesis. Anybody else? These are great. Hey, if I read any one of those, I have a good idea where you're going, and you're set. We will do more of these. Now, let's peek at mine. This is exciting. I know you're excited, right? You want to see mine? Oh, I was expecting a little bit of an awe. I put a 5-paragraph one. This sounds like a lot of ones that were just read, didn't they? They're not a heck of a lot different. X, Y, A, B, C. If I was doing an A and B, the ones that I think I have the most examples of, I would have done this and this. Would have been probably the easiest for me personally. But all three were pretty good for short ideas. We will do more. Now, when we do the essay question in class, I will give you the question. You have a couple choices on Tuesday. I'll give you the questions on Tuesday, so you can come in prepared to write and then write on an essay. Just for this one, all right? You'll come in all ready to go. You can have an outline ready. I'll give you a format for an outline in a second.
It's actually is there only certain things that you can ask questions on?
You probably won't get an essay question. You will not get an essay question before 1763, so before the Argentine War, and probably won't get one before 2000. Other than that, that's pretty broad.
You'll be pretty like major things. I usually use that.
But you'll get 3 choices. So one kind of early, one kind of middle, one kind of later. And that's very nice.
And so we said choose one.
Just choose one. Now, there's another essay you have to write called a DBQ, document-based question. And document-based question, in a way, is easier because you have to use the documents as your evidence. That makes it a lot easier. You got hints. It's also a little bit harder because you got to add documents, you know. The problem with that one is you get one choice. All right. So, I'll talk a little bit more about this tomorrow, Monday, about writing an essay. Did I give you this yesterday? Okay. I couldn't remember if I gave this to you. Just shoot, because you're going to be on all next week.
Yeah.
You can write it from Atlanta.
You want me to?
I'm not going to make you do that.
I think my mom can help me.
You could be sitting by the pool in your place writing an essay watching that. That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? Is your mom an expert on the Industrial Revolution? All right, here we go. This is a dual full thing. This is the basic outline book. I'll show you a little bit more, but that's just the generic one. Here, outlines. Here, this is the information of what you need in an essay. And this comes directly, I kind of like took it from the College Board. These are the things you need. So I want you to do this. Read through this on your own, especially what a context is. Because that is the way you begin a paragraph. The introduction is nothing else than the background to the question, historical background. You don't need to find some great gotcha statement or something to really hold them a hook. You don't need to have flowery language. Just tell me what happened, thesis statement, go. That makes it so much easier. And then please read through this. And then the last part, it says long essay question guidelines. That is the actual rubric. Oh, what an awful word. Rubric that the College Board uses. So when they grade, when they get a bunch of people in little hotel rooms and they grade 1,000 essays, that's what they use, right there. Oh, LAQ. Thank you. That's what the College Board calls it. Long essays question. Pretty cool, huh? Huh? Oh. I don't know what LEQ. It should be LEQ. I'm going to change that.
Where's LP?
The second line. How did I type B? You know what I did? I had DBQ on my head. So when I was typing it, I had DBQ. So I had DBQ on my mind. So everyone, please read this for Monday. We'll talk a little bit about context, a little bit about a few other things. Sound good? Let's go take your notes out.
Yeah. So we're gonna need
This one wants to, now I'll talk about this with you. That's all. We're being sensitive. All right, let's go take your notes out, other notes, and I don't know if it's where are we finishing here? I can't remember.
Free market.
Free market. Let's do a free market. Oh, did I show you this? Did I show you? We got to this, right?
Yeah.
We got like right to
Huh?
We finished the thesis.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. What day is it today, everybody?
Flamingo Friday.
It is Flamingo Friday. Now we can do it. I need a drum roll. Oh, wait. Before we get to that, have you noticed the wrap?
Yes.
Have you noticed the rug, everybody?
Very beautiful.
Let's do drum roll, please. Drum roll. Are we ready? Yes. Flamingo Friday begins now. We almost forgot that. Put +1 in your notes. You got a bonus on your notes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Try it in your math class. See if it works. In fact, yeah, go tell your math teacher, I'm giving you 20 points extra credits. Awesome. Yeah. In math. Did we get to this? We got this? We got wage by supply and demand. Okay, so don't forget, wages are set by supply and demand. Skill, what does skill do to wages? It raises it only if that skill is in demand. If that skill is not in demand, it doesn't affect your wages at all, or it could reduce it. If your skill is how to make wooden shoes, the odds are you're not going to be very much demand. So only if it's in demand. And what happens if you work hard? What does that do to wage? Yeah, only if you desperately need, like there's a shortage of workers, and if someone does work hard, maybe they'll give you a little bit. But if there's a lot of unemployed people, hard work doesn't do anything with your wages. Which is actually kind of sad, isn't it? What else? Hey, what if profit goes up? What does that do to wages?
Probably nothing.
Everyone got that? In fact, add this. If profit goes up, it has no effect on wages. None. You work harder and the profit goes to the employer. And that's the way, because that is a market economy, but especially capitalistic market. One more thing. What if profits go down? What happens to wages?
Down.
It has no effect. See, that's also why it's such a scary thing for the employer. Profits can go down, But in a free market or close to a free market, if they cut your wages, what happens to your employer? What happens to your employees if you cut wages? They leave. So even if you're losing money, you can't cut wages. What is the only condition where you don't have to worry about wages and prices and costs? If you have something that operates like a monopoly. A monopoly, which is not a free market at all. It's a monopoly. So that is the issue. Everyone's trying to cut costs because they can't, in a free market, cut wages, all things being equal. Remember though, we've never really had this. So what does everybody want? More efficiency and productivity. Productivity is the amount one person produces in a day. If you can increase the amount of production per worker, that's more money, isn't it? Now, there's lots of ways to do it, but the most effective way, and Adam Smith writes about it, is division of labor. This is an example of division of labor for textiles. It is a plate in his illustration plate, they were called, in his book. But the example he used, the other one he really talked about, was a pin, like a sewing pin. And we know what I mean by a pin. And you think about that now, what's the big deal? It's a pin, a little piece of steel. You go home and make one from scratch. Can anyone do that? Sure, you can try it. How efficient will that be? So if you need somebody, you have to have iron, steel. What are pins made of? I'm sorry, iron. You have to have coal for heat. They're made out of steel. I answered the question. How do you make steel? Carbon, iron. You need a couple other things, like usually cadmium, nickel, a few other things to make it stronger. And then you have to superheat it, and it kilns. The process is called puddling. You superheat it, and then literally it would kind of bubble, and you would take it and you would pour it into a mold, and to them it kind of sounded like splashing a puddle. So puddling. That was a very skilled job. No, most people couldn't do it. And then what do you do? Now you have red hot molten steel with the imperfections now burnt out. But now what? How do you make a mold? You want to know?
Carve it out of something that will be not melted.
So what won't melt? Yeah, they do it out of sand. Usually you have to make a mold that will not melt. And then you have to be able to pour it in. And then how do you remove a pin which is thin without breaking it? And then be able to shave the edges because there are always going to be edges. I want everyone to do that. You get 5 points extra credit if you go home and make a pin. But you have to learn all those skills. How efficient is it for everybody to make that? Yeah, 6. But if you have one person responsible for the iron, the coal, the heat, the puddling, one person, they can become very good at that, can't they? Become efficient. They can do it over and over again. The more efficient you become, 2 things happen. That speed and more productivity. You're faster and produce more. Therefore, more profit. Division of labor. Now, we take that and that makes perfectly logical sense. You have to do everything yourself. It takes a very long time. Efficiency. But that means you have to organize every worker into very particular skills. And still all by hand. This is still pre-capitalism. So, what is the goal of this? Competition is risk. It's a lot of money. If you're going to make pins, your competitors are trying to make the same thing too. Your goal is what? What is the best way to make money? You make the best pins, though.
You make more.
That might cost more.
Make more.
But someone's got to buy them. Yeah. Yep. Limit the competition. Get rid of them. Undercut them so you get rid of the competition. Now, ideally, you like to make better pins. They buy your pins. But here's the big thing: you got to make sure people don't buy the other stuff. It could be undercutting them. It could be producing better stuff. It could be more efficient. If your costs drop, you can drop your price. Remember, that's the profit margin. Your costs drop, you drop the price you charge, and you can still have a big profit margin. Other companies that aren't efficient, their costs are higher. They try to drop to compete with you, they're out of business. That is the basis of what Adam Smith was writing about in a free market. And lastly, what is your goal then? Something that operates like a monopoly. All of you probably know the game Monopoly, which of course was stolen by the actual inventor of it, but no. Monopoly, have you noticed that Monopoly is only made by one company? Think about it. But I can't play Monopoly. We would play Monopoly in college, and that almost always ended in a fist fight. Mm-hmm. I'm not kidding about that. Somebody would throw the board, and that's, you know,
We
the
should have a
tournament.
board game day where all we do is
I don't want to be responsible for the fist fight. Let me continue this song. Yes.
So the goal in a free market with no monopolies is to make monopolies.
And get rid of the market, yes. Nobody wants competition.
So a free market is self-killing.
By definition, free market wants to kill itself. Because they want monopolies. Always. Everybody wants a monopoly. They want profit without risk. Which doesn't everybody want?
Yes.
So there's a logic to it. But then, by definition, it destroys the market. By definition. So, government policy. What Adam Smith hated was the fact that government was creating monopolies. He specifically wrote about the East India Company. And government interference almost always seemed to create monopolies. Picked winners. And therefore, if there's a monopoly, so it picks winners and losers, and that's why he said laissez-faire, we're going to be French. Americans always said laissez-faire. And what that meant is hands off by government. But the important thing is all things being equal. Once again, everyone's about equal. Hands off by government. If hands off by government, in a perfectly free market, competition will flourish. Then the market can decide what good products, what bad products are, the price. Remember the invisible hand I mentioned yesterday? Just let the market decide. And this is, once again, in a free market, all things being equal. Prices will be stabilized because there's competition. Quality will have to go up because if you produce garbage in a competitive market, no one will buy your stuff. So that will be quality, innovation, and efficiency will all go up because everyone's trying to cut costs. So what Adam Smith says, the wealth of nations will improve in a free market if everything's relatively equal. By the way, are things relatively equal? Not at all. So immediately there are problems with this. Remember, this is idealized. And so, this is all pre-capitalism too. Want me to go back? I can see by some of your faces. Adam Smith died just as the Industrial Revolution was begun. I'll show you my picture of Adam Smith's grave. He's in Edinburgh. He's buried in Edinburgh. I believe that might have been the day I tried haggis too. Haggis. You know what haggis is?
Isn't it like
It's stomach stuffed with intestines. It's worse than intestines. And the funny thing is, I had one bite of it, and the person who served it said basically, only dumb tourists eat this. Scots don't eat this anymore. We will. That will be our Festivus dinner before Christmas break. Haggis. I'll make an old recipe. It's tough. All right. So this is pre-capitalism. That's his grave. And here's the last thing you write. Capital changes everything. The machines. Think about the machines. They can do the division of labor. All of a sudden now, they have something that will make the division of labor much more efficient. But there's a problem. Isn't that more risk? Because the machines are really expensive. By definition, how many people can afford the machines? Yeah. Or it takes people with pretty stable incomes and reputations to borrow the money too. None of you could go into a bank and borrow money to start a business. Not because you're not smart or intelligent, but because you have no history. Yeah. I have credit history, a good credit history, and it would be hard for me because they'd be like, You're a teacher. You ate haggis. On that happy note, please read the thing on an essay question.
So, it's actually
Everybody, goodbye. Have a good weekend.
I'm done.
See you in a week.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Will your brother do it? I can just confirm with you. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Here's my offering.
Thank you for putting that on there. How we doing?
I will put that.
Huh?
I will put that.
You want that mad? I'm sorry.
I was just like, not our society, just not the world, for that one specific.
Oh my God, big thing.
Goodbye.
Turn it off.
You have seen me turn it on.
I know, I'm sorry. We gotta turn it off. We gotta talk about thesis statements too. Hmm? We gotta talk about essay writing. Essays. Dessert? Not piece of cream.
That was something we were. So I was just doing this is I have the 9 hours.
And then you're talking about supporting the artist about like.
It was so funny.
Not you. Huh? Yeah, just remind them. Why? For choir, people like you, yeah, those are people who are gonna be gone. So I'm gonna talk again about, we're talking about thesis statements today, and some notes. Monday, we're gonna talk about a little bit more of the essay. So you missed that in a bunch of notes. You're gonna be writing an essay on twins. And so, just check Teams and I'm gonna post the questions. Everybody, take your notes out. We're gonna talk about thesis statements and then get back to this. So, like all my classes so much, especially my 5th period, he gave the 5th period class Jolly Ranchers. So now it's a competition. Are you gonna let fifth period beat you?
That's weird.
I'm not gonna be gone anymore. Of course, I didn't expect to be gone Wednesday, so who knows?
Who's in fifth year?
With special topics, we got juniors, a few juniors and mostly seniors. It was actually pretty funny. He was so happy. Oh, wait a second. Yes, if they're not in their spot, they're gone. I'm with you. All right, so let's talk thesis statements. Everyone take out your notes. We're going to talk a little bit about writing a thesis statement. And this is a big deal. A thesis statement not only is important to writing an essay, it self-organizes your essay, but also it's a massive part of the grading on the AP exam. So most of you are going to take the AP exam, and so this will help you on the exam. I have a formula I use. Just a second, I think we might still be filming. Oh, we're still filming. Stop recording.